Hey guys, Lonnie, Real Alcoholic. Man, okay, proud moment. I've got another sponsee that's about to take somebody through her first four step. So, what I want to do is recap real quick steps 4 through 7. Um, I went through them in detail in the videos previously, but what I want to do today is just by memory, just kind of recap the base foundation of what we do in steps 4 through 7. Okay, so in step 3, man, we learned on page 62 that selfishness and self-centeredness is driven by 100 forms of fear, self-delusion, self-seeking, self-pity, right? And it tells us that we have 100 forms of selfishness, so we start looking at it. We start looking at that in step 3. We start realizing that, man, even when I'm trying to be kind, I'm stepping on the toes of people and they're retaliating. So we start realizing that there's something wrong with us. There's something wrong with our character, with our personality, right? And so, right before we get into step 4, there's a paragraph that says we considered the common manifestations of self. Okay, so somewhere before we get started on this step 4, I'm going to show you guys my list. I don't know, I can't switch the camera around, but I showed you the guys that have been through the steps with me. They have this list. But we have such things as our 7 deadly sins, man, our vices, defects of character, whatever you want to call them, okay? We had pride, we got envy, we got greed, anger, sloth, lust, gluttony. And I go down the list, and I want to make sure that the person I'm working with understands these terms, okay? Like pride would be a false pride, an overestimation of myself, right? And I want them to understand that self-pity is the direct opposite of pride. It could fall in the same category. Self-pity is another underestimation of myself, right? And so we want to go through each one of these terms: the pride, the greed, the anger, the sloth, the lust, the gluttony, critical, careless, dishonest, gossip, negative, lying, vulgar, conceited, and the list goes on for a couple more. And make sure they understand what we're talking about, that both of us have a working definition, either in their own words or look the word up. But we have a working definition of what the manifestation of self is. These 100 forms of character defects. And we don't use all 100. Dr. Bob didn't, and Bill didn't, and nobody used 100 forms. But we did use more than 7. So around 20 of them should drive home the point, okay? Now we're going to start on our step 4. Of course, we know column 1 is who are we upset with? Who made us angry? Okay, it's going to be people, places, institutions. That's very self-explanatory. Number 2, second column. Now we have them write all of the names, all of the institutions, all of these people, all these situations that made them angry, who made them angry. We do this column 1 first, all the way down. Then we'll go to the next sentence in the big book and we'll start doing column 2. Column 2 is the fun part. Why did these people piss us off? What are they doing that's pissing us off? Okay, what's happening that's making me irritable, restless, and discontent? And so they're going to tell us what's wrong with this person and why this person is making them angry, what this person did to them to disrupt their life, to cause some trauma. Whatever it is, they're going to tell us why this person was causing them to have these resentments. Okay, now the third column. Third column is where we're going to talk about what was affected by this person. Okay, was it my God-given instinct of self-esteem? Okay, everybody wants to feel validated and needed. That's our self-esteem. Was that affected? Was it my personal relations, including sex? Was that threatened? Did this person and what they're doing or what they did that affect my relationships with family, friends, my social acquaintances, my sex partner, my wife or husband, whatever whatever this personal relation is in a family, social, or sexual context, we write down, did this person affect my personal or my sex relations? Did they affect my security? Now, my security is for food, shelter, my financial security, my personal safety, my personal well-being, not to be violated, not to be attacked, not to be beat up on. Did they affect my finances to where they might have cost me a month's rent? They might have cost me some food. They might have cost me some shelter. So was my personal security, my well-being as a person, was that affected by what this person was doing? And then my ambitions, okay? Did they affect my goals for success, my financial ambitions for the future? All of these did they affect my ambitions for the future, the things I was working for, okay? So when we see these one of five things, my self-esteem, my personal relation, my sex relation, my security, my ambition, okay, when we get to this column, when the person sees that, yes, okay, this person is affecting my security, we write that down, security. Yes, this person is affecting my self-esteem, so we write that down, self-esteem. Okay, so we'll go all the way down the list that way. And we'll talk about how these people are affecting us in these ways. Now, the fourth column, this is our prayer column. We have to forgive these people before we move on. And I don't care if AA doesn't care and God doesn't care. It does not matter if I cause this event to happen or not. Okay? If I was blindsided by somebody else's character defect, be it a rape, a molestation, a cut me out of a job by using my past against me, whatever it is, I was blindsided by this situation, okay? I have to forgive this person. And the big book is clear that we realize that perhaps these people like us, now this is the most important part, is like us, perhaps they are spiritually sick. Because we're no angels. We were no winners. We were sick. Okay, and I'm going to tell you guys, it was a big revelation for me when I realized that in this 4-step prayer, right, that with my character defects, okay, I have the same capability to commit the most heinous act that anybody else does, okay? If my anger is not checked and cannot be relieved, I have the capability of murder. If my lust is not checked and is not relieved, I have the capability of doing some heinous sexual shit with other people. Okay? So it was most important for me to realize that, like myself, these people are spiritually sick. Now, it does not excuse what they did. Okay? It's not validating what they did. It's not letting them off easy. What it's doing is we are offering forgiveness, because without that, this resentment's going to fester and it's going to continue on. We have to learn to get this person out of the picture entirely, okay? And look at my fault. Where was I wrong in this situation? Either before, during, or after the event. Was I prideful? Was I envious? Was I greedy? Was I angry? Was I lazy? Was I lustful? Did my lust get me in this situation in the first place? Was I gluttonous? Was I, right? So we're going to go down the list and we're going to look for our part. So to forgive these people in this column 4 is very important. And if we cannot 100% forgive yet, we have to at least be willing to show some kindness and some tolerance, be it a family member or be it something that happened to us when we were children. We have to be able to at least to try to forgive. If we can't do that, we need to work on it. There's no use going to this 5th column. Now, once we're willing to forgive these people and have said this prayer of forgiveness, which is what it is, okay, we say the sick man's prayer for each person, and we set it in our conscience that we're going to forgive them and we're going to get them out of the picture. And so on column 5, here's where we start looking at the exact nature of our wrongs, okay? The person we're working with has told us who they're angry at. What's this resentment about? What's causing it? We already know what basic God-given instincts were threatened. Was my self-esteem, my personal relations, sex relations, security, ambition. Okay, we've prayed for this person. Now, what we're going to look for in each individual case is the sponsor is going to ask the sponsee, in this situation, were you ever prideful? Did you ever exhibit false pride? And so they're going to tell us a time when they were prideful. Maybe a couple times. Okay, good. We write pride down. Then we go to the next character defect on the list. Where were you envious? Were you ever envious in this situation? Did you envy this person? And then they're going to tell us if they had envy towards this person. Next question, were you ever greedy in this situation? Did you ever demand more than what was given to you? And then they're going to tell us. And then they're going to write greed down. You see, they don't have to write down the whole event and how they were greedy. Just a simple verbal explanation of how they were greedy so that they understand that it's their greed that possibly caused some trouble in this situation. And so we'll go down the list with anger, with sloth. Were you ever lustful in this situation? Were you ever gluttonous? Were you critical? Were you careless? Were you dishonest? Did you gossip? Were you negative? Did you lie? Were you insincere? Were you intolerant? Were you impatient? Were you in self-delusion? Did you have self-delusion? Did you have expectations of the future? And when those expectations weren't met, it threw you for a loop, okay? So we're going to go through these character defects, and what happens is every time I've done it with a new person, by the time you get through 6 to 10 names, they can clearly see that these defects of character are what's causing their problem. Because they can clearly see that had they not been prideful, this may not have happened. Had they not been envious, this may not have happened. Had they not been dishonest, this may not have happened. Had they not gossiped about this person, they would have a better relationship. So we start to see that our character defects are affecting our relationship with other people. And 9 times out of 10, they cause us to act out and the other person will retaliate. So we go to this list of character defects. Now, we be sure that if a person is struggling with God, okay, even if they're not struggling with God, we be sure to point out the fact that our relationship with God is affected because of our pride, because of our anger, because of our laziness. How can we have a close relationship with God if we're prideful? How can we have a close relationship with God if we're angry? How can we have a close relationship with God if we're lazy in spiritual readings or our prayer or our meditation? If we're lazy about trying to get to know God, right? And so we point out that, the whole purpose of this program is to get a better relationship with God. And in doing that, I'm going to have a better relationship with you guys. So these character defects also apply to our Creator. That we have treated our Creator with prideful manners. We were greedy. We were angry. We were lazy. We were dishonest with our Creator. We were impatient with our Creator. We treated our Creator with these character defects also. Okay, so we realize that. Okay, we do that step 5. And now, once we got a clear understanding that our defects of character placed us in a position to be hurt, either before, during, or after the event, we exhibit these character defects. Okay, so we clearly see that now. Defects of character. That's our whole problem. So now we're going to move to the sex inventory. The sex inventory is very simple. We're going to review our sex conduct over the years, and we're going to see where we were at fault using these character defects, and we're going to make a plan for our future sex life. And now this, I strongly suggest that this is done with some prayer, with some meditation. Just because I think it does not mean it's God's will. Okay? And what this sex inventory did for me was it gave me a clear vision of the mistakes I've made in the past. And I'm going to be honest with y'all, my three big ones concerning sex was my lust, my impatience. I never wanted to take the time to get to know somebody to see if this was going to be a committed relation. My self-delusion, my expectations of this person. So I saw that our sex relations, it's the same character defects, and I had to find out what was God's will for me in my sex relations. And the big book tells us some are fanatical, some just whatever, anything goes. And some are so prudent, some are so tight that sex is only to make children. Okay, we stay out of that controversy in Alcoholics Anonymous. This is for every single person to decide for themselves in the light of their own sexual behaviors and when they inventory their past, is to really communicate with their higher power and see where they're going to go in the future concerning their sex life. Okay, so we do the sex inventory. Now we're on fear. Fear is very simple, man. We're going to list our fears, okay? It could be snakes. It could be heights. It could be fear of rejection. It could be, there's a lot of different examples. We can help them if they don't know their fears, okay? So we list our fears, and the bottom line is we don't trust God that He's going to take care of these things, okay? So we'll review the third column, okay? When my self-esteem is affected, okay, I get fearful. Somebody's not going to like me. Somebody doesn't validate that I know what I'm talking about. So I'll get fearful, and that will lead me into a character defect. That will lead me into being angry. That'll lead me into being prideful. That'll lead me into gossip, right? So I get fearful that my basic instincts for self-esteem, for personal relations, for sex relations, are not going to be fulfilled. My basic instincts for my personal well-being, my safety, my security, my ambitions, I get fearful that those will not be fulfilled. And when I get into fear, I will jump into a character defect to try to solve this problem so that it goes my way. Now remember, the third step, we quit doing it our way. We placed ourselves unreservedly under God's care and direction. So with the fear, I have to learn to trust God. Whether it be fear of heights, I need to trust God. Whether it be fear of being underwater or scuba diving, I learn to trust God. Whether it's fear of being laughed at in a public meeting, I need to trust God. You see, all of these things affect one of my basic instincts. And so I have to learn to trust God. And the worst case scenario is no matter what happens, I might pass away. And the reason I'm fearful of that is because I know that of myself, I can't control what happens in the afterlife. I have no idea what happens in the afterlife, so therefore I'm fearful. And the whole idea of this fear inventory is to see that of my own willpower, of my own strength, I could not change my character defects. I could not become a better person and have peace in this life. Of my own willpower, I could not prevent bad things from happening to me. Of my own willpower, sometimes I tried to do good and it turned out to not be good because of somebody else or my own faults, right? So of my own willpower, I can't change, I cannot control, I cannot manage this life. So I have to learn some trust in our Creator. I have to learn some trust in our higher power. So that pretty much sums up the fear inventory. Is of my own willpower, of my own strength, I cannot create or make things right. Bottom line, that is up to our Creator. And I have to learn to trust. Now, so we did that. Now we're going to do our step 5. Step 5, hopefully we are sitting down with our sponsee, with the new person, and we have discussed their life already. If not, then this is the time to disclose or talk about something that is very troublesome with them that they would like to talk about. Okay? If they have been completely honest and shared all their troublesome moments with us, we don't have to rehash it. If there's something that somebody is uncomfortable sharing with me, I suggest they find somebody they're comfortable with and go tell it to them. Tell their life story to them. Be it a priest, be it a minister, it could be a counselor, it could be I don't know, somebody that they trust. Okay, because our fifth step, it is most important that we learn to be completely honest with another human being. There's a saying that goes, if I can't be honest with you, who I can see, what makes me think I'm being honest with God, whom I can't see? And so that really helped me to really be honest with another human being, okay? And learn a little bit of this humility and get right size that I am no better and no worse